All right. Well, welcome to today's Q&A. We celebrated yesterday our Veterans Day and all of our veterans who have sacrificed and given and provided for us. So, one thing before I even move on, before we start today's Q&A, what I would like to do is take just another moment to recognize our veteran drivers, not only here at Decker, who of course we love and are proud of and honor, but also all of the veterans who are professional drivers out there on the roads. You've sacrificed for your country, and then again, especially during the pandemic, you saw that over and over. Just helping keep America running, and beyond for that matter, but just going that extra effort and understanding what it takes to be a professional driver, successfully be a professional driver, and the leadership skills that you learn, of course, through being a veteran, have been, in the military and stuff like that. So, anyways, the dedication, perseverance, and the many qualities that you have earned, and just want to recognize all of you who have probably served and obviously sacrificed. So we honor the sacrifice as well. So thank you very much, you guys, for all that you've done. Again, not necessarily the Veterans Day, but it's still the week of Veterans Day, and we want to make sure that we continue to show our respect and admiration. So thanks, you guys. By the way, we had one of our professional drivers reach out to us, and one of the things that he said really hit home, because it got to thinking of, what does Veterans Day mean to me, beyond, of course, recognizing our veterans and thinking of personally, my family members who have served, and those around me that I know who have served, and recognizing them. But what does it mean even deeper, like beyond that? And so much of what he said was about the stories and how he appreciates hearing the individual stories and experiences that they have, and of course what it means to each one of them, not necessarily what it means to him, but really that has become what it meant to him, actually, is the stories from others. So what I would like to do is invite anybody who would like to share their story to please put in the chat. I'd love to read your story out loud and share that with our viewers and those who are part of the Decker family. So yeah, please share your experience, your story, what Veterans Day means to you. You may not have served, but you may have a family member, and there's a story behind that as well. So we'd love to hear it. So please, if you get a moment, please take time to do so. I'll continue providing answers to your questions. There we go. Let's do it in the right order. Any of your questions that you guys have for here at Decker Truckline, we do provide our weekly Q&A. Yesterday, our Facebook Q&A, we took a time out and of course took the time to speak to our professional drivers and our veterans out there and recognize them. But as today, I'm going to answer some of our questions, our equipment, our benefits, our running lanes, available positions, all that good stuff. So we'll talk about that. But I did definitely want to take a moment to recognize and reflect just one more time. At least one more time, right? So if you're here today, thank you for joining me. My name is Jessie here at Decker Truckline. And we do weekly Q&As to answer your questions, so you're not wondering, well, what's new at Decker? Is that the same thing that I talked to them about last week and all that good stuff? So we give you the week by week details, I guess I should say. That said, I do have an update for you on our Des Moines location, the details for our temporary drop lot. So I'll talk to you about that here in just a minute. There was or is a construction update for that Des Moines shop. For those of you who this is new, I'm trying to think of how long ago. I want to say a month and a half ago now, 2 months ago, there was damage, or there was damage to one of the water lines. I'm trying to remember which order it was. Water lines were damaged. Then we lost CenturyLink connection, and then now they're doing more repairs. So they're trying to fix the water damage at this point. That's where we're at. So that with that happening, we've got a couple of areas or parts of our Des Moines location that they'll be separated in different sections of the lot and start working tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, yeah. Start working tomorrow on those sections about, just overall repair, but they're kind of doing it section by section. The regular entrance gate, and that is going to be a lot narrower. So we're going to shift from the regular entrance gate. Let's see if I can talk here. From the regular entrance gate over to the smaller one that's on the north gate. So you have the north gate entrance for now. And also, this is going to be a truck only parking. There are no trailers going to be available for parking at the Des Moines shop for a time. And we'll continue to update you as we get any updates there ourselves. But the new entrance, it's a lot narrower, so we've got to stick with just the truck. And it does have a parking island. So as always, you guys, we really appreciate you being patient with us. We do have a temporary drop lot that Peticord has generously provided to us. So thank you very much, Peticord, for that. That location has been given to all of our professional drivers here at Decker, and we've emailed it. So if you haven't checked your email, check your email, info@deckermail.com. Our weekly newsletter has provided all of the details for you on the temporary lot location. Keep in mind that temporary lot parking, that it's not dropping loaded trailers at that address. It's a dirt and gravel lot, so it's only for empty trailers. So that temporary drop lot is only for empty trailers. Now we have a lot of movement here in the last couple of days with trailers and stuff. Our shop and our maintenance department, they've been working really hard trying to get everything in order so that we had the different lots basically separated, and our trailer and really any of our equipment, we've had to reduce that in the Des Moines location just to make it work. So that's me telling you thank you for your patience. We appreciate it. It's been a process. A lot of people have been involved in it, and thankfully the construction company has been really good about communicating and keeping us in the loop. So yeah, absolutely. And then sorry, Greg, I was just reading Greg's. Yeah, we will go over the driver scorecard. That's a good thing. Yeah, I'll come back to that here in just a second. Great comment. We'll make sure that we do that. But as far as the construction, please make sure that you are reading our newsletters, because we're going to keep you up to date on that, and that could change the different parking, the drop lots, etc. Please keep your eyes peeled for that. All right, that would be helpful. All right. Let's see. Everything else, there was something else I wanted to go over here, so bear with me as I wanted to double check on the construction. That we should be good. Oh, yes. Speaking of speaking of maintenance, for treating your fuel, once again, and I'm going to remind you probably all winter long, please make sure that you treat your fuel. If the low temperatures that you're going into, in the area that you're going into, if they're going to be close or below 18 degrees, you've got to treat your fuel. So you've got to treat it. It'll start to gel at 17.5 degrees. So please make sure that you have the additive. We use the Penray product. We also have Power Service, Century Power Service is another one. But Penry usually does about 250 gallons. The other one, the Power Service, that one roughly does about 100. But double check, don't take my word for it. Make sure that you are reading the back of the container to make sure that you are treating it properly. Now, if you have questions, if you need to talk to the maintenance department, or if for something was undertreated or overtreated, you'll need to speak to them. It's 515-576-4321. That said, because I'm telling telephone numbers here, I do want to make sure that I remind you, we have our recruiting number, 877-433-2537. It should be right here. There we go, 877-433-2537. If you have any questions, you want to speak to a recruiter, that's the number for the recruiting. The other number was for the maintenance department. But anyways, make sure that you are using that anagel, that additive. Otherwise, you could, gel up. You could your fuel could plug. So you've got your cold fuel plugging point. It could crystallize. We just want to avoid all of those issues. Do not put the additive into the diesel exhaust fluid tank. Do not do that. All right? Do not. And again, check our weekly newsletter for updates on that, so that you know what you can and can't do, right, to make it work. It's informative. Yes. Okay. Let me see. Now, Greg was asking about the scorecard. Now, our scorecard is one of our monthly bonuses, and that just went out. I think it went out yesterday for the details. It'll actually pay out next week. So I need you to please double check, triple check, make sure that you've reviewed your scorecard with your driver leader. And the reason I say that is if you review it with the driver leader, they'll be able to tell you where there are areas for improvement that you can work on. Usually if you go into your scorecard on your TransFlow app, you'll have the access to it. You'll go into your scorecard, and then it'll break it down into where you lost points. Like, for instance, you're graded on 7 criteria. So you've got your if there's a CSA violation or a preventable accident or fuel compliance, idle time, miles, on-time delivery, driver service failures, all of those are considered points, or they're all the criteria. There we go. That's the word I wanted. They're all criteria for the scorecard bonus. So here's the deal. You have 1,000-point scorecard. That's the ideal scorecard, right? That can get you an extra 4 cents a mile for all of the miles that you completed for the previous month. So this is November. So all the miles that you ran in October from the 1st to the 31st that were completed, so if you picked up a load on the 31st but didn't deliver it till the 1st or 2nd of November, then that's actually going to fall in November's. Same thing on the front end though. If you picked up in September, November will be October would have been the pay on that one. Yeah. All right. So there we go. Sorry. But as far as the scorecards, the different criteria, there's 7. Fuel compliance, service failures, miles, claims, idle time, preventable accidents, and CSA violations. Some of those are, you either get it or you don't. Like with the claims, you either had a claim or you didn't. You either had a CSA violation or you didn't. Preventable accident or you didn't. Idle time has different variables. So you've got you get all of your points for idle. A full point system would be 200 points. So 200 points versus somebody who had less than 15% idle time. If somebody had over 15% idle time, then you'd get 50 points. up to 15%. If it's over that, you would lose all of your points. So let me see if I can do a better job of breaking this down. A perfect score, so it's less than 5% idle time, that's going to get you 200 points. 5% to 8% is going to get you 150 points, so you lose 50 points there. 8% to 11% will get you 100 points, and you'll get 50 points if you're between 11 and 15%. There we go. Anything over 15, you lose all of the points, the whole 200 for the idle time. Now, the same type of scenario for the fuel compliance. Fuel compliance is going to be based off of a percentage as well of compliance. A different scoring system where the max on the fuel compliance is 50 points, whereas idle was 200, so it was worth more basically. For the fuel compliance, 95 to 100% compliant is the full 50 points. You'll lose, again, 1,000 points is the perfect score. You start with 1,000 points, and then based off of where your compliance is, your claims, your miles, your violations, things like that, you could drop from there. So everybody starts at 1,000 initially. So, okay, so you've got, where was I? Oh, 95 to 100 is the full 50 points for the fuel compliance. 90 to 94 cents a mile would drop you to 40 points instead of the 50. So you're just losing 10 points at a time if you drop, the five percentage points. 85 to 89 is 30, 80 to 84 is 20, 75 to 79 is 10 points. So that kind of gives you an idea of that. And again, max points that you can get for your scorecard is 1,000, which would pay you an additional 4 cents a mile on all the miles completed for that month. You do get the safety bonus on top of that, but that is separate, different scoring. So I'm going to talk about that separately, so hopefully not to confuse anybody. As far as the miles, now that one's going to depend on the fleet that you're in, whether you're in the over-the-road refrigerated or the more regional refrigerated. If you're in the over-the-road flatbed versus the Midwest flatbed, the home weekly. So those are all going to have different variables on the mileage. And again, that's where you're going to want to talk to your leader to discuss those miles to make sure that you're maxing where you're at. Not maxing because we don't have a max miles, but you're getting the minimum, I should say, in order to get those. And that's a total of 150 points. We were going through, getting a lot of updates, of course, for our stats, what our average miles are, what the average length of haul is and stuff like that. And I know for 2020, 2021, things were like skyrocketed, right? And then, 2020 for sure. But then you had like 22, 23, it just started depleting. 23, 24 got hit pretty hard. We all saw that for miles. Now, that being said, we've definitely seen an increase this year over the previous year. So that's definitely reassuring, and we'll continue to see that because we've restructured our sales as well as our operations team. So the way that they're working together with the planners and with the driver leaders and with our building sales team has increased our loads and our miles and all that good stuff. So we'll continue to see growth there, which is pretty darn exciting. That's a big goal, is to lift those for you guys. So again, if you have any questions on that, please reach out to your driver leader so that we can make sure that we're addressing that and helping you get to the numbers that you want. Now, claims is one of those that you either have it or you don't. You forfeit it. You forfeit all 100 points if you have any driver-related claim, and of course, driver-related if it's not because of your mishap, then if it was a shipper or receiver, then it's a totally different story. Same with service failures. Service failures are worth 100 points, and you would forfeit those if you had any driver-related service failures. So if you're late not because of scheduling on our part or the shipper receivers, but just time management that would affect you. CSA violations, that one is again, either you forfeit the whole points or not. So 200 points is what the CSA violations is worth. All 200 points will be forfeited if you had any driver-related CSA violation. And violations, even if you were given a quote-unquote warning, those are still violations. Still violations. Preventable accidents, all 200 points will be forfeited for any preventable accidents, whether, so any, that's full 200. And altogether it's 1,000 points. So, Greg, does that answer your question? Or at least your initial questions? Because now it breaks down even further, right? So you've got 1,000 points, that's a full 4 cents a mile on all the miles that you completed. And then there's a level 950 to 999. If you got between 950 and basically 1,000, 950 to 999, then you'll get an extra 3 cents a mile on all of it. So that would be if you lost points because of fuel compliance, really. That would be really the only thing that would drop you to between 950 and 999. Let's see, and then we've got the next level will be 900 to 949. That would be 2 cents a mile. And things that would break you down there would be the claims, service failures, or fuel compliance. So those 3 things would bring you down to the next level, the 2 cents a mile. Sorry, I had to think about that. And then you can get 1 cent a mile if you have above 825. And so if you had a CSA violation, a preventable accident, and if you had high idle time, those are all things that you would lose 100% of that bonus, of that scorecard bonus. So hopefully that better explains it all. And then I'll talk about the safety bonus here in just a second. Bejoink says, do you guys hire recent graduates? We do. Right now we do have we do hire recent graduates from an approved school, but it's on a limited number. So you'll have to call the recruiting department to see what they have available, if there's a waiting list or not, because sometimes we'll have a waiting list that's 2-3 weeks out, sometimes longer, and then sometimes we have immediate availability. So it really depends on our trainers and their availability. That's 100% of what it is. So yes, we do take recent graduates. Now, as long as it's from an approved school, of course, so you'll have to let your recruiter know the school that you graduated from and have your Class A CDL. You've got to have that. From there, we do reimburse you once you start with us. We reimburse you at $200 a month after you've finished your first 90 days with us. So $200 a month, and that goes to you up to $6,000 total. So it'll be $200 a month up to that $6,000. That's the cap on the reimbursement currently. So yes, we do. Roadmaster, where at? Roadmaster where? Some of them we work with and some of them we don't. Yeah, based off of, let me see if I can find our approved list. Give me a sec. Hunting on my computer for the approved list. Approved schools. And then I'll be able to tell you one way or the other. All right. Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, give me a sec. It's thinking. It's trying to open. I'm bogging down my computer here. I don't think I'm really bogging it down. Can't tell if it's opening. There it is. Okay. Omaha, Nebraska. Let's see. I do not see it. Out of Omaha, we hire out of Custom Diesel Drivers Training. Okay, so it is not on our not qualified list. So it doesn't say that we won't hire out of it, but it's also not on our approved. So in order to get it onto our approved list, I don't see it on our. Yeah, I don't see it on our not approved list. So what I would do is get a hold of our recruiting department, and they'll look at basically everything, but they'll need to get a transcript from you. And from that transcript, they'll be able to determine if we can use it as an approved one. So our recruiting department, this number that keeps flying across the screen, 877-433-2537, that will help you out. But yeah, I don't see it on the do not hire or not approved, or approved. So it's not specified is what I'm getting at. Mike, how are you? Happy November to you too. We did survive that. He says, did Decker survive the snow blizzard in Colorado? Yes, we did. Thank goodness. Yeah, I know we've worked with Roadmasters in the past, but it's not currently on our approved list. So they've, we just need updated accreditation information, I think is what we'll need to get that approval. But yeah, Mike, we did. There's a lot of weather, right? I mean, the country's kind of going blizzarding themselves with different weather patterns. But yeah, we survived it, thank goodness. There was flooding and weather and hurricanes and tornadoes. Oh my goodness, the tornadoes, right? Yeah. Crazy. But yes, how about, I mean, obviously you survived. So how did everything end up? I should probably be more specific, huh? Even more. All right. Okay, so now that was the scorecard that we were talking about. And again, that accounts for up to an extra 4 cents a mile on all the miles that you could run. Or all the miles that you earned completed. There we go. All right, but then we have the safety bonus. The safety bonus is also part of our monthly bonuses. It's separate from the scorecard, but it does take into account, we have the lytics system. Yep, lytics, there we go. That's including both the inward and outward facing event recorder, lane departure, speed gauge, following distance. I'm sure there's more to it. It's basically the safety unit that's in the truck. Now, as far as how it runs and what it calculates and stuff like that, the inward facing event recorder, the video or the camera or whatever you want to call it, that one kicks off as soon as you turn your truck off. That turns off, and it kicks on during critical events. So if you had a critical event going down the road, that could be hard braking, erratic lane change, could be speed gauge, following too close. Those are all things that would be considered. I was going to say erratic, but those are all things that would be considered a critical event, basically that would trigger it. A trigger. There we go. So those are the inward one would kick on during that time. Otherwise, when the truck is off, that is off, period. The outward ones, that's a different story. Those would be recording. And then the outward ones, when you shut the truck off, those will shut off after 4 hours. So those will shut off after 4 hours. All right. That's the safety, and that's one of the 1 point or 1 cent per mile on all the miles that you ran for the month that you completed. Okay, that's the safety bonus. Now, you can have, there can be events that, like a critical event would disqualify you, but there could still be events on there that aren't considered critical, that you wouldn't lose points for. So there's that as well. Even though it would show through the lytics system, like it would be recognized, but then it can be determined later that that isn't a critical event. That's what I mean by that. So, because I get asked that a lot, like a question, be like, oh, what about this? Is this, is this considered a critical event? Or I got a notice about this. It doesn't necessarily, that doesn't mean that it's a critical event. It just means that it was identified through there. Okay. All right, so that's the scorecard and the safety bonus. Yeah, 5 cents total. Greg, does that make sense? I just want to make sure that I'm answering it. Mike says, Mother Trucker News just made a message about drivers being downgraded with outstanding in regards to the FMCSA clearinghouse status and CDL downgrades. Yeah, so I've seen quite a few of those actually. Back when that kicked in, it was January 6th of what year? Was it 2020? It's been a while. But yeah, back when that was announced, companies needed to start implementing the new FMCSA clearinghouse upgrade, the status. And so that the companies themselves have to report and make sure that the drivers are being compliant to that, and your CDL, otherwise your CDL will be downgraded. We have been doing that since that was first announced. So that's not anything new to us, and that's like with the SAP program and whatnot. So that's really not going to affect us because it's already been into action. But for those of you that it might, if you haven't been compliant, if you haven't fully complied with like for instance the SAP program, there are a lot of steps. And I noticed, even though that doesn't affect us as in the way we run, I have noticed a lot of calls from people who were looking for companies that work with SAP. And I noticed quite a bit of messages too, because I do the social media, that people are asking, hey, are you SAP compliant? I need to just finish this part up. It has to be 100% completed, the SAP program, and over 3 years old for us to work with it. So those CDL downgrades that are related to this app aren't going to affect, again, any of our drivers. It won't affect the way that we run it. But it does for some companies. You've definitely recognized a lot of people waiting till the last minute I say till the last minute, but waiting till the cutoff in order to get that taken care of. So they're really coming down the wire there. Absolutely. Good point though, Mike. Trucking with Mark. Hi, Mark. He says, do you all hire out of Marion, Indiana for like Midwest Regional? Marion, let me investigate. For Midwest Regional, let's see what I've got here. Indiana. What do I have here? So I have that. I'm testing Midwest, like flatbed or refrigerated. Did you specify? Reefer. There you go. I got you. So he says reefer. Do we have it for reefer? We don't. So our refrigerated is 11 days out and 3 days home. Yeah. So we have 11 days out. That would be our most regional in the refrigerated for you, and 3 days home. But yes, you're definitely in the area that we could run you more regional. It would be basically if you drew a line at Denver, everything east of Denver would be your running lanes, basically. We do a lot in Texas and Oklahoma, and of course the upper Midwest, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska. Did I say all those? Making sure I covered it. But yeah, everything really east of Denver, and could be Denver, but and then of course the Cheyenne area as well. seriously drawing a line over. That would be part of what we would consider our more regional, where we'd be able to get you home about every 11 days for 3 days. Yeah. Otherwise, it's coast to coast in our refrigerated division. Mike says, great that they don't affect Decker drivers. I still don't know what you're supposed to do to comply. So to comply, Mike, you would have had to fill out the clearinghouse. Thank you. So for the clearinghouse, you would actually have to go in to Safer and fill out the document. I mean, every company that I know of has required their drivers to do that already. So there shouldn't be anything else that would have to do. I mean, if you've been running with your CDL for the last couple of years, you've probably already done it. Initially, it was something that we had to train ourselves on, but now everybody is seems used to the fact that if you're applying for a position, that's part of the paperwork that you're getting is signing the document saying that you're giving access to the company to access your drug and alcohol results, which, I mean, we've done in the past, but now it's just the clearinghouse is like one unit, one location that you can get it all. Instead of going to all these different companies and trying to gather the information, which has been in the past was a lot of work as far as the company that you're trying to hire onto. And now they just made it a whole lot easier. So it's a faster process. So you don't have to track them down, especially when there's a lot of businesses that have gone under. It's all encompasses one bank of information. Yeah. Where did I see that? Made it sound like some drivers had outstanding issues and the grace period was going to be dropped. That was for those who had SAP. Yeah, so those who had drug and alcohol violations, then yes, that if they didn't take care of those outstanding issues, the grace period was going to be dropped, and that was for not finishing the SAP program. I don't remember the number of steps, but it's like 6 steps, and then you have to, or maybe it's 12 steps, and then you have to have 6 random drug and alcohols. And everybody's a little bit different depending on the level that they fell under for the program. If they were considered, like it was a one-time thing versus, more, they had a lot more in their system, that type of thing. Yeah. But in those cases, Mike, yes. Yeah, they had to do that extra work to get approved. But that work was just making sure that they got their randoms, but the randoms had to be with a company. So there's all these different levels, and I can't remember the levels, and I'm sorry for that, but we don't work with this app program. So the level was something like, first level, you have to be clean for a certain number of months, and then you could start driving, but you need to have random tests periodically, like pretty periodically. Whereas when you're working, like when you work with Decker, we have the random tests where we obviously fall within DOT regulations to have those randoms anyway. I think it's like 10% of the fleet has to do that. That's the norm. But as somebody who has failed or not complied fully with the clearinghouse, the drug and alcohol testing, they have more randoms. Yeah, they go into the system more often. That's my long answer. Sorry. Mike says, my grandparents from Michigan got married in Marion, Ohio, as my grandfather was working in Huber Tractor in Greer, Colorado. Very cool. Sounds great to me. Trucking with Mark says, sounds great to me. Come March or April, I want to change jobs, and I'll look you up. Cool. Mark, the different positions change. I mean, we do these weekly, so definitely check in, because that could be a whole new opportunity by then. Like we We did have openings in our dry van. Those are full. Like that kind of stuff. Like those things change. Anyways, check in with us. Hopefully we have something even more into what you're looking for. But that's good news. Thank you. He says, that's exactly what I'm looking for because I have family in Warrenton, Missouri. Awesome. My son lives in Fulton, Missouri. And that'd be perfect lanes for me. Cool. Cool. Mike says, only driving my own truck locally presently. Yeah, so locally, you should still have, like, whenever you're doing your drug and alcohol testing, like with your annual testing or with your randoms that you have, because you still have to do the randoms to comply, right? Those are all put into the clearinghouse. So when the paperwork gets done, it all is submitted to the clearinghouse. Trekking with Mark says, actually planned on moving back towards Warrenton, Missouri in the near future. Let me look to see if Warrenton would be considered currently in our, doesn't mean it wouldn't be later on, but it's worth checking. Warrenton, where are you at? Ooh, I gotta zoom out. That is close. Oh, you're close to St. Louis, so that's flatbed. I don't have, I do have refrigerated right now in there. That's true, I do have some refrigerated. So you'd be okay right now in the refrigerated. I definitely flatbed, and that's even more regional. But yeah, you're safe. Okay. Mike says, the government and employers had to track back your records to various employers. Yeah, now the Safer Score sounds like a standardized place to keep individual records. Yep, that's like the vault, right? The vault that it all stays into. They're referring to drivers with outstanding violations. Yep. Yeah, so that it's not going to affect you that way. And the only other thing is if you refused a drug or alcohol test, that would fall in. So, I mean, failing is one, but then refusal is the other. But again, if you haven't done, then it wouldn't matter. I mean, like, you wouldn't get to that point. Mike says, in Marion, Ohio, for Huber and Tractor. Oh, I got it double printed. Mike also says, I didn't think that owner-operators had to put up any of that. Yeah, deal. Yeah, because it's a DOT thing and not specific company. But again, that's done through when you're getting your physical or your drug test in randoms. They're submitted. Yeah, good questions. Yeah. All right. I should probably tell you what we do have available. We talked a little bit about the refrigerated, the more regional, answering Mark's question about what the more regional refrigerated looked like. And so that's 11 days out, 3 days home. The areas that we hire from for that would be, again, Denver, areas Denver East. Not all of those areas do we hire from, but we do run it. Dallas, Fort Worth, definitely an area that we would run for it. Georgia, the Carolinas, yeah, we'd run quite a bit of that. Trying to think what else for hiring. You're looking Memphis, Tennessee, even into Nashville, most of Ohio, Cincinnati for sure, Indianapolis, good areas for us. New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm bouncing areas that we currently hire for the refrigerated. Most of Nebraska, most of Kansas, north of the northern part of Missouri. Zooming in here, that is what? So like Kansas City, definitely around like St. Joe, really north of 44. Yeah, that's what I would consider. So, did you do? So you were saying that my DOT physical biannually is my drug test? No. Sorry, Mike. When you go in to get your drug tests, the randoms, that's when they're submitted. Yeah, no. I did start to say physicals, and then I was backpedaling because I used the word physical, and I meant to say drug tests. But no, that's they're not the same thing. Let's get it right? Okay. Yeah, so that's the refrigerated position. The pay is going to be based off your experience level. So if you have, if you're brand new, who was asking about the new opportunities there? Brand new to the industry, we would start you in the refrigerated division at 52 cents a mile. 10 cents of that's per diem, and then you get a penny raise every 90 days, or you get a penny raise, every 90 days until the end of the year, and then it's annually after that. So you'll have that increase. You'll be at 55, 56 by the end of the year. Now, if you have a year of experience, you're starting off higher, and then you'll get a penny raise annually if you have, and again, I'm still talking refrigerated, if you have 11, 12 years of experience, you're looking at 65 cents a mile. 10 cents of that's per diem. You get a penny raise annually as well. So that's the refrigerated. And we'd keep you east of Denver for that one. Benefits start after 60 days. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's an 80-20 plan. We have dental, we have vision, we have prescription. We have 401k with a 50% match. And seriously, check into our prescriptions and all of our benefits, because those are impressive. Can be impressive. If you're currently on any prescriptions, it's worth looking into. Okay. So what else? Flatbed. Well, before I go to flatbed, over the road refrigerated, it's coast to coast. The areas that we hire from there overlap really the areas that we hire for are more regional Midwest too, but then we also hire out of Vegas and Missoula, Montana, and Seattle, Washington, Tacoma, Spokane, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Hermiston, Oregon. Those are all areas that we would hire for the over-the-road refrigerated, in addition to the areas that we would hire for the more regional refrigerated as well. Okay, so now for the flatbed, we do have some flatbed opportunities. That one, with the Midwest flatbed, we can train for tarping and securement training. So if you don't have flatbed experience and you're a recent graduate from an approved school, we can train you in that division. Now for our over-the-road flatbed, where you're out, home every other weekend, that one actually, we do require a very, very minimum of 6 months of flatbed experience or a year of tractor trailer before you go into training with us. And the training would be load securement and tarp training. Otherwise, like I said, we do require at least 6 months of flatbed specific training. Now, the more regional flatbed that we do train in-house in Fort Dodge, that would be following your week of orientation. And I'll take a minute to talk about orientation here in a sec too, but for flatbed, we starting pay 53 cents a mile, if you're brand new, you guys, 53 cents a mile, and then you get a penny raise until you every 90 days until you hit your annual raises. If you have 15, 16, 17 years of experience, you're looking at 70 cents a mile. 10 cents of that's per diem. You do get a penny raise every year on your anniversary until you hit the cap, which right now the cap is at 70 cents a mile. So for anybody over 15 years of experience in the flatbed division, you would get that cap right away. The flatbed division for home weekly does usually bring you home on a Friday night or a Saturday morning and then back out either Sunday night or early Monday morning, usually for a Monday morning delivery. For the over-the-road flatbed, that one's home usually every other weekend, and so you're looking at coming home again, around the same time period, Friday night, Saturday morning, and then back out, depending on when you came home, either back out Sunday night, Monday morning, Tuesday. Again, making sure that you get at least a day and a half for every 7 days that you're out. That's our rotation. So we have our over-the-road refrigerated, our over-the-road flatbed, our regional or more regional flatbed, and our over-the-road flatbed as well. Did I say all those? Refrigerated, flatbed, over-the-road, and regional. There you go. Let's get it right. Those are what we currently have available. We have one team position available. That is, you do need to live within along I-80 from Denver, Colorado to Chicago, Illinois. So somewhere along I-80 there, that would be within our hiring area for our teams. It's not a dedicated. However, you could run some dedicated runs. So I'm going to consider it semi-dedicated. But I'm going to be more specific in giving you the details so that you know why I'm calling it that. You would be running over the road freight most of the time, no touch freight. However, when we have a team that is going on home time or vacation or something like that, but they're coming off the road, which is usually they're usually on 3 to 4 weeks at a time. So when they are coming off the road, then we're going to need someone to cover those loads. Now with our 6 teams, we're basically rotating, the home time. We will rotate you in pretty often for that dedicated, but you'd also run over the road freight in as well. Now, for the dedicated freight, it is touch freight. So you're rolling carts of bread, sometimes full carts, sometimes empty carts, on and off the trailers. So that's the touch freight that we have. And yes, you do get paid extra for that. But the rate of pay per mile for the teams is 60 cents, split to the truck, 5 cents a piece. And then it goes up. So every week you're paid on the 60 cents a mile, right? But then the cents per mile, the bonus cents per mile, which is based off of the number of miles you run, so it's like the mileage bonus, that is paid to you the 3rd pay period of the month following when you ran it. So next week when we pay off, I'm pointing to my calendar, like, what are you looking at? Next week when we pay the scorecard and the safety bonus, because again, paid about the 3rd pay period of the week following when we ran it, we will also be paying the team mileage bonus at that time. So if you run between 12 and 14,000 miles a month as a team, you get an extra 2 cents a mile. 14 to 16 is an extra 4 cents a mile. 16 to 18 is an extra 6 cents a mile, and anything over 18,000 miles a month is an extra 8 cents a mile split to the truck. That said, most of our teams are running about 24 plus. So that gives you an idea. And we have I think we have 6 teams right now. So 12 team drivers currently. Yeah. If you have questions, feel free to ask the recruiters. It's this number, 877-433-2537 for more details. All right. And again, benefits, they all start after 60 days in all of those. The 401k is through Principal Financial. It is a 50% match on that. Dental, vision, prescription, we have Regenix, we have FedLogic, we've got a lot of resources, and of course our EAP program is very beneficial to all of our professional drivers and their families as well. EAP is the Employment Assistance Program. That's pretty good. They are $0 copays. Definitely check into those if you are on any prescription. Do not overlook those. Great options for you. And our HR department worked hard to get those because they are huge savings. I just missed a comment. Sorry. Okay. Orientation. Orientation is 3 days for an experienced driver. And it starts on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday usually. And it's in Fort Dodge, Iowa. So we'll get you either a rental car or a flight to get you started, and we'll take care of your hotel and your meals. Now, that said, we do have a repayment program, so if you were to leave us within the first 6 months, you could be responsible for a portion of the expenses. Every month we knock off $100, so whatever the initial amount was, which you'll be told based off of what your expenses were, so like where you're coming from, how much the rental car was or how much the flight was or whatever. They send us that information, and so then we put it into the repayment agreement. And then the repayment agreement, again, we knock $100 off every month for the first 6 months, and then at 6 months, it's when you're still with us, we null and void it, basically, for the most part. I mean, that's basically what that means. It's what's the word I want? Anyways, it's over. I was trying to think of okay, whatever. Anyways, that's the repayment agreement, and you'll go over that with the recruiter, because they'll want to walk you through all of it just in case you have questions, so that you're like, hey, what is this? Well, it just shows what we've basically spent to get you here for orientation and what those expenses were, and if you were to leave us within the first 6 months, then you're just responsible for a portion of it. So, yeah. and an expectation form. You'll also get an expectation form to look over, and that you'll appreciate as well, because that the expectation form is really just lines out what the job description is, what you would be expected to do, what it all entails, and what your rate of pay per mile is, what kind of mileage you should be expecting, those type of things. Those are all expectations on our parts and on your part, so that we make sure that we have a good understanding. We're going to be a good fit. If you're talking to the recruiter and you're listening to the expectation form or going through the expectation form with them, because usually by that time you have it in front of you, like in a PDF, as well as listening to them on the phone talking about it. But at that point, if you're going through it and you have a question or a concern, ask it. Make sure that you're going to be a good fit. If there's a concern that I don't do night driving, and we do night driving, that's something that the recruiter's going to need to know, because they don't want to tell you, it's going to be okay, when, in our refrigerated division, it's not uncommon to pick up a load in Missouri and need to get to Chicago for a morning delivery. That's not uncommon. So yeah, make sure that if there's concerns that you might have, that you're talking to the recruiter about it, so that they can determine whether or not it's a concern that they can work with or they can't stick to. You don't want surprises. Surprises are good sometimes, but not necessarily when you come aboard thinking one thing and find out otherwise. So that's why we try to, provide you with as much detail of the process as we can, or as we can foresee being questioned, wondering. All right. Also for orientation, we have an online orientation before the in-person orientation. The online one, we give you an login to Luma. Luma is our online orientation. You log in and you'll fill out, basically it's a number of modules. So you'll either watch a video, read through a PDF, or an article or something like that, and then you'll have a couple of questions, and then you'll need to answer those questions correctly before you move on to the next section. So that's what online orientation looks like. It keeps you educated, kind of gives you an idea more about what Decker is, what we stand for, going, of course, through DOT regulations and as well. Gotta know those. Pre-trip information, and then when you're in orientation in Fort Dodge, Iowa, which is our main terminal, that's where we do it, then you'll go through the company policies and procedures. Maintenance will come in, they'll walk you through your truck, when you're getting your truck assigned to you. They'll walk through it with your truck, and most of the time they're going through this, how you run the APU unit, or this is, if you're having problems with the TV, this is what you do. And so all of those are kind of broke down to help answer. We've had questions on it, so we kind of try and get ahead of the questions so that you don't feel like, I hope I didn't forget to ask something. No, and of course, if you have a question, ask. That's how we've learned what to tell you, what information to provide you, because sometimes when it's your normal day-to-day, right, you're like, oh, they know that. Well, what if they don't? So we want to make sure that we're telling you the details, what's in the truck. By the way, what's in the truck? APU, refrigerator, microwave, TV, 100+ channels that Decker provides for you. They're double bunk trucks. They have CB units in them. They have air conditioners and bunk heaters. They have, I said microwave, I said refrigerator. What am I missing? They are equipped with Sirius Radio. However, you would have to have the subscription for that, where we have the subscription for you for your streaming channels. You have that, unless you want to do Hulu or Hulu or Netflix, or you can have those subscriptions. But we have the DirecTV Epic View package for you. Yeah, most of the trucks are the 579 Peterbilts. Yes, we have some 389s, but honestly, those are for our veteran drivers. You'll see a lot of our drivers who've been here for quite some time. They've been over 15 years, and they get to spec their trucks a little bit, so they see that's where those 389s come into play. We have some Volvos, and we have some Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions as well. the majority of our trucks are definitely the 579 P's. So that's probably what you're seeing. Yeah. All right. Well, I just realized that I may have gone overboard, but hopefully I answered your questions. Greg, I really appreciate you bringing up the scorecard so that we could go over that. We'll probably go over it even more detail as well next week, just in case others have questions, because it does pay out next week. And that's normally when I get people hopping on saying, hey, what does this mean? What does this mean? How do I get this better? And, and we can celebrate everybody's wins there as well. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys one more time. If you are interested in sharing your story of what Veterans Day means to you, and I recognize that yesterday was Veterans Day, but we, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/DTL Inc., we did ask anybody to share their stories of maybe an experience you had. If you yourself are a veteran, we'd love to hear your story. And if you have a loved one who's a veteran that, or someone who's special to you that you want to recognize and, just kind of tell a little bit of why Veterans Day is so important to you as an individual. Obviously we know why it's so important to us as a country, as a community, but as individuals, then we would love to hear it. Feel free to provide it in the comments or in the chat now. You can also put it on our, send it to our Facebook Messenger, facebook.com/DTLink. I really like to share that with a lot of our professional drivers, just because I feel sometimes they don't realize how much we appreciate the sacrifices they make, whether it be, and I know they're different sacrifices, but a lot of those type of sacrifices are similar. Away from family, you're on your own. You've definitely learned skills, whether you're in trucking or as a veteran, that overlap, leadership skills, management skills, like time management and safety and things like that. But we have a lot of professional drivers here at Decker who are veterans, and like Bobby, one of our professional drivers here, he reached out and we want to make sure that you guys know how much we do appreciate and recognize. So thank you. Thank you for all you do, all year round, not just on a specific holiday. All right, you guys have a safe trip, and I'll be reading the comments in the chat later on, if anybody wanted to share their stories. So thanks you guys so much for everything, and stay safe. Avoid any weather that might be coming. Stay ahead of the game, right? All right, thank you so much for everything. You guys have a wonderful and safe rest